Greetings, Internet. Welcome to Aaron Plays, and I hope you're doing fantastically well. This is a continuation of my playthrough of Fields of Fire, Mission 1 in Normandy. I'm just about to turn 2. I'm not going to go into as much detail in the rules as I did for episode 1, unless it's a new thing that's coming out, and I do need to obviously explain it. But I want to get a bit more flow, and this will only be turn 2 in this video, and then I'll hopefully just do 1 turn per video, because it can get quite involved once you start getting in amongst the Germans. And we have now got Germans on the map. Made an error yesterday with regards to the sergeant, basically maths. He drew a 6 command card. Great. He's a veteran, +1. He's also there was no contact at that time, another +1. So that was +2 makes him 8. However, the maximum you can use in a turn is 6. So I used D6, one of these little things, to mark that. And he used 4 commands. Didn't use 6 commands, did he? So 8, take away 4 is 4, but I marked him as 2 as if I'd used all 6. So, but I've already corrected that in the module. So I noticed it when I was actually rewatching part of the video myself, and I went, ah. If there is any other mistakes that I made, please let me know, because I obviously want to get better at this game. And by letting me know, you're letting others who are watching the videos know as well, all in the comments. If you could also hit the like, that'd be much appreciated, because as I say, these are quite a bit of work to do. They're fun doing it, don't get me wrong. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't be doing it. But it is time and effort. If you could just, it doesn't take much to click on the mouse button or the TV remote button or whatever, just to say thank you, and I'll say back thank you too. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Again, all helps, gets it out there to the Ethernet, whatever, you know where it goes. And yeah, if you really want to support the channel, get me a coffee or something, become a member. It's all down in the description below, or in that area-ish. So let's get down to the map and see what is going on. So, brief recap. We have to secure the objective, the primary objective up here, and the secondary objective. And to secure them, that means there must be no enemy on the cards, and I must have troops on the card. And I must also clear all the cards in row 1 and row 2. So I technically don't have to do anything with these open fields over here. Now, I do gain victory points or experience points for doing so. For removing these contacts, I gain experience. So it might get done if I have enough time. Remember, I've got to do this within 10 turns. Turn 1, it sort of went okay. I can't really grumble. Over here, stumbled into a minefield. Not great. And a heavy machine gun that's now pouring a bit of fire into the farm that's here. I've got an assault team and the company sergeant over there who's in cover. There was nothing in this village, thankfully. We haven't gone into this particular gully as yet. And yeah, more mines in the farm, which pinned my assault team and changed it to a fire team, which is a lot less aggressive than what it can actually manage and do. So that's the situation. And we're going to go through the sequence of play. Now, in the last video, I brought up the sequence of play and I was chopping and churning between the two. I'm not going to do that this time because I noticed there was a bit of lag every now and again in the recording when I was rewatching myself, and I went, that's not so good. Hopefully that will be less now. I mean, yeah, ideally, yeah, I can't get, there's a sequence of play there. If I can press the Alt key on it, but notice I haven't got the little red stud on it as it was going down the map. So, but I'll occasionally bring that up as and when I can, And can I bring up? I don't want to zoom out too much. There we go. That's the action sheets. So I can bring them up as well. Hopefully on your screen you can see that, but I won't be doing it as much as I did last time. Now, regarding experience, what I mentioned, if you notice here, I'm putting aside the potential contacts that I found. So let's just go to that at the moment. I'm putting them aside because these are all worth victory points. I keep saying victory points, experience points. Because at the end of the mission, if I'm successful, I can spend these. Well, even if I'm not successful, I can still spend them because my squads are learning and my leaders, definitely my leaders, are learning as we progress. And each one of these potential contact Cs are worth 1 experience point. But I'll record that all towards the end. Unless I do something dramatic, then I'll have to use little markers, and I'll show you what I used in other scenarios later. So that's the situation. So we've got, this is the big problem we've got at the moment, a heavy machine gun with quite a bit of ammo. Let's have a look at him, shall we? A bit more detail. Okay, so he's still got 7 ammo. He's an automatic weapon, and he can fire at very long range. So, and at the present moment, he's firing us. We can't fire at him because our assault team has only got a range, and that's what the P is, which is point blank, and that's literally the car that he's on. The other little issue we got is the sergeant is not able to communicate with the assault team because the sergeant's undercover and the assault team is in and around the farm. So the sergeant's actually in the farm. Also, the sergeant is not in communication with the platoon because he doesn't have a radio or field phone. So he's out of communication and therefore will only be able to be activated using his initiative. If he moves into the location of the farmlands, shall we say, he will be subject to a mine attack. The mines will attack anything that moves onto this card and anything that moves within the card, but doesn't attack anyone that moves off the card. So the only way that assault team will be able to do anything will be on its own personal initiative. Or its own initiative, which we'll come to, is one of the last phases that we can actually do something, the general initiative impulse. We're guaranteed there'll be other things we want to do in there, but as long as he doesn't move, he's safe from the mines, but obviously he's now a bit exposed from the heavy machine gun. A little bit of a swings and roundabout situation. Anyway, let's go through the sequence of what we've got to do now. Turn 2 now begins. First thing we've got to do is draw a card because we're doing the friendly higher HQ event phase. And if a little radio appears in the bottom corner of the card, what occurs? No, we have no HQ phase. The next up is the friendly command phase. Okay, so this is where my battalion HQ can activate me. We've got the battalion HQ impulse. He's definitely not on the map. So he activates me, or company commander. So I actually then flip him over. After that is literally all that's done in that impulse. Then we have the CO HQ impulse. And that is where I determine how many orders he actually gets. So I draw a card. Okay. So on there, he's getting 3 orders. All right. And as we know from this card here, okay, he is green. So that's -1. So that's 2. He's not undercover. Some strange reason you're not classed as being undercover when you're on the staging area, but there we go. And the current activity level is now no longer no contact. We have contact. In fact, we're engaged. So he drew a 3. He's -1 for that, so it becomes a 2. That's not great. So I've got to work out what I want to activate with those 2, because that's what I'm going to spend. So first platoon, second platoon, leave XO and first sergeant without any being activated. Yes, I think that's what we'll have to do. So we'll activate first platoon. Flip that over. And second platoon. That's his 2 points spent. Go on, easy come, easy go. And that's the CO HQ impulse. Next, we'll have the platoon HQ. Now, I was able to activate the first and second platoon HQs because he is in telephone communication with them, because the CO is here. Let's zoom in a little bit. There he is. And first platoon is here, and second platoon is there. So in the staging area, they've got telephones. They're all chatting to each other about the weather, general sort of what's going on, how's your missus, etc. But once they get off this staging area, that's going to be when it starts to get complicated. So we've activated first platoon, second platoon, but not third platoon, which is technically my reserve. I just want to emphasize first platoon is on this staging area, and they've got the little red highlights, and second platoon is over here. They're not in numerical order. I did have someone querying saying I'd activated third platoon, not second platoon, but no, second platoon is over here. Third platoon is my reserve. It's there to back up any difficult situations that first and second platoon can't actually deal with. Hopefully they won't be required or engaged too much. So I have to draw now. We're now entering the platoon HQ CO staff impulse. The CO staff is the sergeant and the XO. So the only thing, remember, this is the activation segment for the first and second platoon. The other guys will be working in the initiative segment. So drawing a card for the first platoon, see how many orders they get. Now, also, I've seen some people do their first platoon, see how many orders they get, do the second platoon, see how many orders they get, and then do their order. No, you do it one at a time. At the end of the day, it's your game. You do what you want with it. But as rules as written, it says you do one platoon, you do its activations, you then do the next platoon, or you do the next staff officer. You do not determine, because that gives you a slight edge, doesn't it? Really, if you think about it. If you know that you're activating the third platoon, they got 3 orders, and you know the fourth platoon, they got 4 orders, you can pre-plan what you're going to do with them. This is to show that, well, you can't do that. But again, it's your game. If you've got it, do what you want. So I'm drawing a card for the first platoon. So he gets 5. Now, he's still got the same problems as the company commander had. He's green. So that will knock him down to 4. And we're no longer in the no contact situation. So it will be 4 orders he gets. So this is for the first platoon. So I'm moving on to the 4th space. And this is where I get my little dice, because I don't want to keep, for every time I spend an order, keep going back and forth along there. All right. So what we're going to do with first platoon. We know this guy's in a minefield and stuck. We need to clear this gully. So we're going to send someone in there to clear it. So platoon HQ, he will order first squad to detach a unit. I did this in the first episode. So it's just doing exactly what I've done there. If you didn't see the first episode, please go and do so, because I did explain a lot of these pretty crucial rules. So let me pull a LAT team, limited action team. That costs an order, and he's going to be given the smoke for that unit. It's either smoke or white phosphorus. What's he got? There it is. He's got white phosphorus. Okay. Useful cover. Placing that on the assault team. So that's first order. So he's got 3 orders left. Second order is to go and explore that gully with the assault team. They're able to do this because at the present moment we are under visual and verbal communication because we're on the same card in the same area and it's a staging area. So up he goes over there, and as he moves in, he becomes exposed. Okay. That's 2 orders done. 2 orders left. Okay. I don't really want to move into the farm where there's a minefield. Anyone that moves on there takes a risk. So technically, I've cleared that. I want to get off that and not be involved in a firefight or be in that square anymore, card anymore. So yeah, we've cleared this card, so we just want to get off there now. So do we want to send anybody else into that gully from first squad? First platoon. Yes, because at the present moment, no one's firing on that. So there is a bit of a risk, but we will then send an order. So he's used 2 so far. Yeah, so sending an order to activate the LMG to also move over to the draw. Be marked exposed. Now that he's there, he automatically opens fire on the German in the gully there. Okay, it's automatic. You can't stop if they've got a valid target and are able to fire, which he is. He will now open up onto there. So place a PDF, prime direction of fire, and that will remembering which button to use. There we go. Change that to there. And then we put a volume of fire marker on here, which is automatic. Automatic fire. You've got various states of fire. You've got small arms, automatic. And if I just bring the Alt key up on that, you can see that's got a -1. So that's affecting that with a -1 firepower. Remember, low numbers are good in this. Okay, so that leaves me my platoon commander with 1 order, and I'm going to save that because you can see being green don't get many, do they? So he's used 3, leaves him 1, goes down to the lower part of the chart there, and then gets flipped over. Now second platoon. How many orders are you going to get? Draw a card. Only 3, and because he's green, that becomes 2. He's already got 1, so he's now got 3 for this turn. Okay. What we're going to do is second platoon. Right. So we've got a pinned fire team on here. Again, it's a minefield. I've cleared it. I don't have to keep any guys on there, so I'm not going to send anyone to rescue him. I'm going to let him pull himself out of there. Okay, you can maybe try and self-rally. I think even pinned units can move away. I'll have to double check that from, as long as they don't go into a terrain card with enemy on it. Should be okay. So we've got an assault team here, and this is clear at the present moment. So why not advance the whole platoon? How does that sound? That is an action, and that will require 2 of my 3 orders to do so. So it's similar to what we've done previously. So we've activated a unit to move, but now you can also, as a move action, activate the whole platoon. Okay, so let me just let's just go back a little bit, see if I can get the action card there, and press the Alt key. That's a sequence of play. There it is, the Alt key. There we go. So neither of those are the move ones, so I need to change that to state 2. Boom. And then do it again, Alt key. Right, so movement actions, 4.2.2, the left side of the thing says move to an adjacent card, and option B is move a platoon to an adjacent card. Cost is 2. Again, it's automatic. I don't have to draw any cards to do it. Originator is the platoon HQ. How That's an interesting one. Just twigged on that. So XO can't do it, Sergeant can't do it, and also the company commander can't do it. Interesting. All good order units of that platoon on the same card that are not marked as exposed. Okay, so that's the recipient, and then each unit in the platoon perform a move to an adjacent card action. All units move to the same card, so I can't split. So that's the limitation. It's like, follow me, guys, and they all move to the same place. Units on the cards who are out of communication with the originator remain in place. So I can't pick and choose who I leave behind as well. Now, of those guys on that card, I think they are, apart from the artillery officer and the XO, let me just angle that down a little, wrong way. You notice I've marked the platoons have got the like a light blue border, but the XO is white and the artillery officer is white. So I can't order those as part of the platoon move. He, however, can, no, he can't order the artillery either. That's a good point. He can't order the artillery because they're not part of his platoon. All right, fair enough. So I am going to do a platoon move and move all of second platoon that's currently on here into the village. So let me just move the casualty collection point down the bottom here and move all these guys up into the village and himself into the village. Okay, and then I've got to mark them all as exposed. I'm not going to put exposed on every counter. Yeah, I suppose I have to do another one. There we go. So, oh, and himself, of course. So if any fire does come into there, yeah. Then, so that's 2 orders. He's got 1 left. So I could move that assault team forward. Yes, I could. Let me just go back on something there for a moment. Yeah, I diddled myself there. I did just check. I could have ordered this artillery forward before the platoon moved. So I'm actually going to do that. So it's a little bit of retro there. The artillery move forward. So I just thought, wait a minute, the assault teams aren't part of particular platoons. So this is where it gets a little bit, not shady, is not the right word, a little bit vague. These assault teams, though they've been detached from the first platoon or the second platoon and so forth, don't technically belong to those platoons anymore until they get reintegrated later on. I could bring this guy back into, this first squad or second platoon, then it becomes part of the platoon. But whilst he's an assault team, he technically isn't. So if I did another platoon move with him there, he would not be able to advance. But the artillery officer itself is in the same boat. I just checked. You can order move, can be any HQ. So he's ordered the artillery officer forward. But that was a separate order. So that was the first thing he did. The second thing was the platoon move. And that puts him out. He's used all 3. These green guys, they're I've been latest game, I've got a few veterans, and yeah, they get a little bit more control. Green, not so much. Not so much. That goes over there. I've played this mission before, and it's gone totally different. This is what I do like about the game. I've played this mission as I was learning the game, and yeah, it plays different every time by the looks of it. Terrain's different. Where the enemy have appeared is different. I cannot recommend this game enough. It's one of the few games I've got down as a 10 out of 10 on Board Game Geek at present. I originally put it as a 9 as I was wading through the training, but now that I'm playing it and facing the decisions, it's a definite 10. Anywho, enough of the whiffle. So we've done the first and second platoon, which were the only 2 things I had activated. Okay, so we now go to the initiative segment. We skipped the CO HQ initiative because the CO was under activation by the battalion HQ. We're into platoon HQ initiative impulse. And that's where my third platoon now becomes active. And we draw a card for him to see how many orders he gets. And we're looking at the lower number here. He gets 1. Whoop. Okay. He gets 1. He's green. That goes to 0. But I think you automatically get at least 1. But I would have to check that. It can be modified to 0. So third platoon, drew a 1. He's green. He gets 0. So he's still got the 2 that he's saved, but that's it. And you know what? Third platoon are my reserve. They're not doing, I don't really want to rush forward with them. So I will save those 2 and do actually nothing with him. That drops down to the lower there. Okay. So that's that impulse. That was quick, wasn't it? Then we have the CO staff impulse. So I activate either the first sergeant or the XO, and they get 1 command. They don't draw a card for it because they're doing this under the initiative impulse. However, that is unmodified. So it's just 1 command that they get. So I'm going to start with the first sergeant. So he gets 1. So he has 5. Now I've got to remember the maths, this guy. So the first thing I'm going to do with him, okay, he can't give an order, as we've already determined, to these guys milling around. They're probably eating dirt, aren't they, to make sure they don't get blown up by mines. I can move him off the card, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move him off the card, which doesn't trigger the minefields, and I'm going to move him to the gully over here. And that takes 1 of his orders. Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, as a move, that will mark him as exposed. He's now got 4 orders left. Okay. What we want to do is to concentrate fire from our LMG to the heavy machine gun. Okay, want to pin it down. So he orders the LMG to fire on the concentrate fire, which is a specific order. Again, so we're now into combat. Let me just get that card up. Why they put it right at the bottom, but there we go. Okay, Alt, movement, rally actions. So of course I've got the wrong actual card side up. Date 1. Okay, go down again and the Alt key. So combat actions again on the left. Got attempt to spot, attempt to concentrate fire. Costs 1. So this will take him from 4 down to 3 remaining. He draws 2 cards, plus or minus. That's dependent on the quality of the unit, that is the recipient. Okay, which is line, so there's no change. Any HQ or staff can issue this order, so he's a staff member. And it says any good order, S, A, AS, or H, those are the different types. So of small arms, automatic small arms, that's like assault rifles, or H, which is heavy weapons. Volume of fire rated unit, projecting a volume of fire onto a card, which heavy machine gun, or light machine gun, or medium machine gun. I suppose it's a Browning. Not a Browning, is it? 30 mil, isn't it? With spotted enemy units. So they're allowed to do it. Select either a stack of units under a cover marker or one random unit out of a cover as target. Draw action cards, check the crosshairs icon. If the icon is present, then the attempt succeeds. Place a concentrated marker on the target unit. If the unit tracks ammo, it expends 2 instead of 1 ammo. If the attempt fails, do nothing. Okay, so yes, we got to track ammo too. Now, the amount of ammo we have for this LMG is a little bit less. It's on here. All right, you can see the word ammo, and we've got 4. Now, I like to keep those numbers there, so I'm going to draw a counter for him Where is it? Machine gun ammo. There it is. I'm going to set that to 4. And this will use two of that. So actually, we'll now might as well set it to 2. No, we only actually change ammo in the redo phase. So there it is. Put the ammo there. Stick him now on top of the ammo and expose him. And now we're going to try and concentrate. If we manage to get the concentrated fire, then we'll consume the 2 ammo. If we don't, he's drawing 2 cards. So we want the roundel effectively. So 1, and there it is. We managed to concentrate the fire. And we bring up the concentrated fire. That goes onto that position there. So what the effect of that is when we're firing now, and when we come to resolve the fire on that card, there'll be a -1 for the automatic and an extra -1 for the concentrated fire. So net -2. So useful. So we moved over for 1, got them to concentrate fire for 2. We're going to look for cover for 3. So it'll take them down to 2 orders remaining. Okay. So now we're looking for the word cover on these next cards. There is a 3. As you can see, the number at the bottom there, 3. There's one little cover in this hex card if we find it. So we're drawing 3 cards, looking for the word cover. 1. There we go, 2. But remember, we've got to draw all the cards. 3. So we found cover, and it's one of these little basic covers. So it's probably like a little bit deeper part of the gully, and that puts him in there. So he's found cover for himself, which now puts him, if you remember, he's now in a different location on that card. That puts him unable now to give orders to the rest of the people on that card. It's just one of those things. Not much you can do about it, unfortunately. So he's got 2 left. He's not going to use those. So that takes him from 5 to 2. And then that's him done. We just flip him over. The XO, he's got 3. Where is Mr. XO? Right, he's sitting down here. I don't think we need to do anything with him at the present moment. Just put him in a comfortable place on the card. No, we'll save those 3. We'll keep them in the bank. Yeah. Note to self: put phone on airplane mode when you're recording. Sorry, I think you've got a bit of a ringtone there. Do apologise. So what was I doing? Yeah, the XO. I was going to save his commands. He doesn't really need those at the moment. Let's flip him over. Now we have the general initiative impulse. So I draw an action card and expend on any unit a number of commands equal to the modified initiative commands. So draw a card. Big whoop, we get 1. That's not great, is it? Put it on the bigger number there. Okay, so we're going to use that 1 for this assault team here. If I got more than 1, I would have actually tried to come onto this card here and then try and throw a grenade at that heavy machine gun. But if I move him into the cover here, he will suffer a mine attack. The only real option I've got is to move off there. So I'm going to move him back onto here. Okay. And that's me done there. Okay, so now we go into the enemy offensive missions, combat patrols, enemy activity phase. Because it's an offensive mission, this is where the enemy get to do their bit, their thing. Right. First thing we've got to draw is a card, and if they get the little HQ down at the bottom there, they get a HQ event. They don't get a HQ event. Next, we have the enemy activity check. We didn't do this last time because there was no enemy on the board at this point, but now there is. But there is only one. The only enemy activity is that heavy machine gun. So we're now going to determine what he does. If there are other cards with enemies on them, we then work out randomly which one does what first, and then work our way through them. But we've got, so enemies firing at cards without valid targets, shift, cease fire. So they don't have a valid target anymore. So they shift fire to the only place they have got a target. And so this is maybe where I was a bit foolish there. If I'd have kept Mr. Assault Team there, they probably would have kept their fire on them, which would have saved them firing on this lot. You never learn. Yes. So they shift fire. So I might as well, I remove that and put that now between the two cards, and then I flip it over, and you can see, and that now becomes automatic fire that way. Okay. Now that's an automatic reaction. So step one is enemies firing at cards without valid targets, shift, stroke, cease fire. If there was no valid target, it would have ceased fire. Okay. Now, check every enemy unit on the map for activity. Determine card order randomly, as I said, if there were other enemies. And then on each card, check units based on their status on the activity check hierarchy table. Well, there is only one enemy, so we don't have to go into detail on that. So we've got to find out what this heavy machine gun is going to do. As it's the first time I had to work out what the enemy is going to do. We're going to have a look at this sheet here, the enemy activity check hierarchies. There are two sides to this. We are working on this one, enemy defensive activity check hierarchy. So we were told in the initial mission briefing that the enemy are on a deliberate, defense. So we're working on that column there. So there's three types of defense: delay, hasty, and deliberate. We're on deliberate. And then we work our way through these lines until something matches what's currently happening over on the board there. So on the same card as an opposing unit, no. On the same card as an opposing unit, an undercut, no. A with that symbol, G or H unit with an out of ammo marker, no, they've got plenty of ammo. Not under fire and no line of sight to an opposing unit, no, they are under fire. Not under fire but a valid target, no, because they are under fire. Under fire, but not undercover. They are in foxholes, so they are undercover. Under fire from a different direction to its own PDF, no. We now, the point of fire has now shifted already. If it hadn't, then it probably might have done under that order anyway. That type of A with an arrow, H, or units that has open fired, placed a PDF, automatically they will attempt to concentrate fire. So A or heavy weapons, polymer fire unit that has opened fire, which it has already placed a PDF, there is an automatic attempt to concentrate the fire, like I did. So it's resolved in exactly the same manner. So let's come back up there, move up to the map. So he will attempt to concentrate fire into here. Okay, so we'll first of all determine if he does concentrate fire. He is a line unit, so he'll do exactly the same as I do, which is he needs to draw two cards. And he gets the roundel, he has managed to concentrate fire. Draw card one, draw card two. Darn it, he has managed to concentrate fire. So now I'm going to find out where he's concentrated fire on. Let me get the concentrated fire marker first. There we go. All right. There is effectively two targets in that area. There's the open and the unit undercover. I've just checked the wording. Okay, on attempt to concentrate, select either a stack of units under a cover marker or one random unit out of cover as the target. So there's effectively three targets there, 1, 2, and 3. And as per normal with this, I will draw a card to determine which one he concentrates fire on. Okay, he concentrates on one, which is unfortunately my sergeant. So there we go. He gets a concentrated fire marker on him from the heavy machine gun. That means he'll consume 2 ammo. Well, remember that when we do the cleanup phase. That's the only active German on the board. So that's the only enemy activation check we've got to do. Mutual capture and retreat phase. Okay. Regards paralyzed or litter team on a card alone with an unpinned enemy get captured and such forth. We won't worry about that until we need to. Retreat segment, retreat any unpinned paralyzed team under a volume of fire marker, 1 card. My guy that's over here is pinned, but it says unpinned, so he can't retreat at the present moment. Vehicle combat, there isn't any. Fire missions, there is no artillery that's been placed so far, so I don't worry about that. Potential contacts, we do have 1 potential contact to resolve, which is this guy here. So, bringing up the card that talks about contacts and such, which is this one. We are still engaged. 2 or more occupied cards are under volume of fire markers. We're not heavily engaged yet, because to be heavily engaged, you've got to be engaged, and at least 1 card with a volume of fire has both enemy and friends on it. That's not the case. So we're looking at get engaged, and we're looking at the C. So we're going to draw 2 cards to see if that card, that PC marking, has got something in there, and we're looking for the word contact. First card, cover. Second card, cover. So there is no contact. There is no additional enemy. I will remove that, and we'll be gaining an experience points when I come to collect the experience points later. There we go. So that was thankful for that. Okay, so that's the easy row cleared. Up to turn 2. So the next thing we have, I've got to stop using that word SO. Pinned recovery segment. Remove pinned markers from any vehicle or infantry units that are not under a volume of fire marker. So my guy over here, there is no volume of fire. I can remove the pinned. And I will do so there. Gone. Next up, we have the NCM. Combat effect segments. Do not adjust any volume of fire or PDF until we move up to the cleanup phase. So it says for each infantry unit on a card with a volume of fire marker, resolve any flamethrower attacks. There is no flamethrower attacks. Determine the net combat modifier. Draw an action card to determine if the fire is effective. So as I will go from the German unit, then onto the card with my guys on it. Okay. So I'll have to zoom out a little bit because we've got to see the draw card here. All right, so what's affecting this? Well, let's zoom again in. Yeah, all right. Then we'll come back to drawing the card. So he's got +2 terrain modifier. If the fire was coming from this card, from the village here, okay, there would have been the +1 modifier because it's going through the white, but it's not. It's going through that corner is green, so he gets the +2 for the gully. He gets an additional +1 for the foxhole he's in, so he's on +3. However, there's a concentrated fire, and the fire from my machine gun takes it down by 2, so he's on +1 for the effect. So that's the net combat modifiers +1. So we draw a card and we look at +1, and it's a hit. Yay! Okay, that's good. We now draw another card to see what the effect of that hit is, and we're looking under the word line. It's A. Does that mean he becomes an assault team? I'll have to double check that. Right, okay, so I did actually have to dig into the weeds of the rules here. Okay, so in A assault team, one step of the unit, he's only got a one step, he's one that little dot at the bottom, converts to an assault team or possibly a fire team with the following procedure. So then it goes through what actually happens if it had a multi-steps, one step would have become an assault team and so on. If the hit unit is a one-step unit, which it is in this case, one-step unit with a named fire team on the reverse side, flip it to its fire team side. So let's do that. There we go. He's become a fire team. You notice flip him back. So he got a range of V, which is very long. He's now got a range of C, which is close. Still assault fire, and he's still, but I think the best way to look at him, he's lost a little bit of control and composure because it also hit automatically pins you, which is the main thing I wanted to do anyway, was to pin him. You pin someone, makes it easier to assault them. Right, so now we've got to come down to me. I'm just going to go left to right here on the effects on what happens to me. Again, it's the +2 terrain modifier because it's going through the green border. The sergeant is in cover as well, so that's +3. However, he's exposed and he's suffering concentrated fire, so it's -3. So the net is 0. Okay, draw a card on the 0. He's oh no, our sergeant is hit. See, this is why I try to get into cover to avoid that. Our sergeant is hit. He's a veteran. He's P and L, right? He's only got one step, so it's the P. So he has become paralyzed. That means basically our sergeant's gone. Let me pause that while I go and get a paralyzed marker for him. Yeah. So he automatically loses all your orders or commands that he'd accumulated, been replaced by a paralyzed counter. When I reinstitute that or rebuild it, it doesn't rebuild him as a sergeant. The actual, because that one step represents 2 or 3 different guys. The sergeant plus his own little band, shall we say. The sergeant's been taken out. Okay, that's a bit disheartening. Moving on. All right, so +2 terrain. -2 exposed. Again, it's 0. That exposed does hurt, doesn't it? 0 on the assault team. He's hit as well. That's not nice. Assault team, the effect of it, he's a line unit. He's paralyzed as well. Not good. Bloody German heavy machine guns. So, all that team. So we will change his state from assault team to paralyzed. There we go. And pinned. Okay. And then the actual machine gun team, again, +2, -2 on 0. Or a card. Missed. Focusing on my leader there. So, okay. And that's it from the combat phase, the NCM. All right. And then we update ammo levels, and then we change any volumes of fire and so on. So, okay. My machine gun consumed 2 ammo, so it was on 4. We'll change its state to 2. Yep. The Germans was on 7. We'll change that state to 5. We've got 5 ammo left. Now, when you fire, he was firing onto this card with a automatics volume of fire. He's now pinned, so that will change to all pinned, which is a +2. It's very, very much less effective fire. I'm still firing at full effect at -1 there, so that's good. When we do the clear up phase, the concentrated fire markers will disappear. They'll have to be redone. And that is the next step. We just adjusted the volumes of fire. We do the cleanup. Are you sure you want to clean up? Okay. turn marker moved 1 turn. So we're now going to be starting turn 3, which will be in the next video. As you can see on here, I've moved the sergeant off here. I'm going to have to wait until after the mission to get a sergeant again. I think I'll double check that. As you can see, the exposed markers have been removed. I've got 2 pin guys on here with the machine gun still latching away. Not good. I'd hope to keep the assault team and then be able to assault into that gully. The LMG got pinned. It didn't happen. Having these 2 minefields is quite restrictive on my avenue of advance, but that's why we play these games, to have difference every time. Okay, so I'm now going to move, pause this and bring it back to the top. Well, that didn't quite go according to plan. Let's put it that way. Lesson learned: if I'd have kept that assault team on the minefield card, the German fire would have been focusing on them rather than by now arriving light machine gun team. It could have shifted because there was higher volume fire. It could have shifted, but it might not have done, which then would have kept my sergeant intact. So I need to find out if he is actually gone. Because if I rally that team from paralyzed, it will go then to what's called the litter team. There's a various steps of rallying or reforming that into a cohesive unit, but there's no way of tracking, as far as I remember, the leader. So I think he's gone, but I'll double check that. If any of you know in the comments, let me know. That'll be useful. Saves me digging into this beast. I say beast. It's not that bad. I mean, if you played something like ASL or something like that, then yeah, it's okay. But I did make this comment to one of the comment contributors to the channel. I basically said, well, yeah, but we were learning ASL when we were younger. So yeah, it's not so bad, honestly. And it is well laid out and well explained. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, do us a favor, do the like, subscribe if you haven't done so already and you do like what I do. And again, I'll repeat myself, but all comments much appreciated. It helps the channel, it helps me, and it helps others to either find my channel or answer questions that they might have. But until next time, play games, have fun. Bye, Internet.